What's up, Mind Speakers? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it happens to be your first time here. If you click this video, you know exactly what is about to happen. We're gonna talk about my first time at a psychic. Really, we're gonna go over the first 2 times, but I've only ever been to 2 psychics in my life. The first time I ever went to a psychic, it was my junior year, but you have to understand that before this time, I was petrified of psychics. Like, I was like, nope, keep the devil worship away from me, fuck out of here. But I was always kind of like drawn to like supernatural kind of things, you know what I mean? Like the powers that be that are beyond the human experience. I remember when I was a kid, there was a talk show called Montel that used to come on when I was a kid, and a psychic lady named Sylvia Brown used to be on it on, I think, like Thursdays. So whenever I would get the chance to stay home from school, I'd be like, hey, I get to watch Montel, hey, because I get to watch Sylvia Brown do her like psychic abilities and stuff. But I was still scared, and I'll tell you why I was scared. Beyonce's first movie ever was Carmen the Hip Hopper, and I remember watching that when I was a kid. And basically the premise is Carmen is a girl who's supposed to be a star, and she knows she's gonna be a star, but she ends up tragically dying in the end. But before she dies, she goes to a psychic, and the psychic is Wyclef Jean. And when she's going to get her reading, she's like, yeah, you know, I'm ready to hear that I'm gonna be a big star. And he flips over every card, and every card is death. And she keeps flipping over cards like, no, I'm not gonna die, I'm not gonna die. And he's staring her in the eyes like the cards don't lie, like you're gonna die. So ever since then, I was like, you go and fuck around with that shit, you're dead. But my college had paid for a tarot card reader type psychic, and one of those psychics that just stares into a crowd of people and goes,
who had a dead grandpa with gray hair? You had a dead grandpa with gray hair? He says hello.
One of those. And my friends wanted to go, but to be honest, I really wasn't about it. But like part of me was kind of about it. But I needed like convincing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not just gonna like ditch my morals. Somebody's gonna have to egg me on. My friend who I'm gonna call Barcelona was telling me like, look, I go all the time. Me and my mother do it. It's not devil worship. Like, it's actually of God. And he's Roman Catholic, like, and his mom is Italian. So I'm like, yo, I'm in good space here. Like, the devil doesn't exist where a Roman Catholic Italian lives. That's just the truth. And he also was like, listen, the college is paying for it. This type of shit is expensive. Let's take advantage of the moment, which he was dead ass right about. So we decided to go. So I walked up to the lady, and like, I was A, dumb shy, and B, dumb scared. So I'm just like, hi. Like, I just gave her like a little like, hey. Before I could really even do that, she just goes, oh, woof. Big energy comes towards me like, you must be a Gemini. So I'm like, this is dumb weird. Like, yo, like, how do you know this? Like, you don't even know me. Yeah, I'm a Gemini. And I sit down and she goes, I'm like, can you like not do that? And she goes, there's something else in here. When's your birthday? And I was like, June 20th. And she's like, yeah, you're a fake Gemini like my sister. There's a whole bunch of Cancer up in there. I'm not buying it. I'm like, you don't even know me. Like whatever you think you know, like you ain't met me before. Like what else you know? You wanna know what I ate for breakfast? Like what actually got me is before we even touched the cards, like she was like, I wanna say a prayer together. And I was like, yo, we're talking to God. This can't be bad. Like if this is gonna be a Christian process, this isn't the devil, we good. So we pray first, and then she gives me the tarot cards, and she tells me like, whatever you want to come through the cards is going to come through the cards. Whatever you put into the cards is going to come out of the cards. So if you want positivity to come through the cards, when you're shuffling the card, your energy needs to be positive. If your energy is not positive when you're shuffling these cards, you're going to pull out a bunch of stuff that is maybe not so positive in your life, and not everybody wants to hear that stuff off rip. And I was like, whoo. So I'm like shuffling these cards, singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and shit, because I'm like, I don't want no bullshit coming through these cards. I don't remember the exact cards that I did pull for some of them, but I can tell you some of the cards that I pulled the first time. I think the first time I pulled the Tower. If you know anything about the Tower in the tarot, the Tower pretty much means that there's some bullshit ahead for you and you're not gonna like it, but on the other side of it will be what needs to be there for you. So big changes are gonna come. It's gonna be really hard, but you're gonna make it, and when it's over, it'll be worth it. But at the time, I didn't know what that meant, so she basically told me that a career change or a major change was in order. And I was like, nope, I'm going to be a doctor, so I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, girl, like, I'm going to med school. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember what card I pulled for this, but she also said, like, as far as like love and relationship goes and who you're supposed to marry, you're not gonna find the typical college sweetheart. That might be daunting to figure out, but you know, all of your relationship stuff and the stuff that you're gonna figure out for that sect of your life, you're gonna find it out back home. And at the time, I was dealing with a girl that you could not have told me that to. Like, I was like, shut up, no, this is the love of my life. Like, I don't even want to hear this. Like, I don't even know why Barcelona got me sitting here if she's just gonna be a liar. Like, she's lying to me. I remember that I pulled a card, I think it was the star card, and she said, I see about you doing something in the future that has to do with reaching a lot of people and speaking to a lot of people. And I was like, I mean, am I gonna be on the doctors or something? I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I was like, oh, well, I was taking a class called Poetry as Performance, which basically was like a slam poetry class. You write one and then you perform it at the end of the class in front of a bunch of people. So I was like, maybe it's that. And she was like, no, I mean your career. And then I remember this specifically because it scared me. I pulled the devil. And I was like, okay, great, so what's that? And she was like, you don't want the good news first? And I was like, nope, what's that? Because I wanted to know what it was. Like, it's a bright red card, and like, it's jarring when you see the devil. And the card basically meant for me that like I had to be nicer to myself, that my internal thought processes were negative, and you can't think negative and spin negativity in your mind, because then you project negativity into the universe and negativity comes back to you. So in order for me to have positive outcomes, I need to emit positivity in order to receive positivity, and that's basically what the card meant. But it's a scary looking card when you pull that at first. I was triggered. I was like, no, what is that? So then I left the reading. I felt really weird. We talked about some other stuff. It was basically just family stuff that she was right about, but it felt weird. Like, I was like, so what is going on here? My current state of affairs is completely different from what this lady just said to me. And long story short, before the end of that semester, changed my major. Me, the girl I was dealing with, were no longer dealing with each other. I had no idea what the star card may have meant at that point in time, but I was like, hey, well, I don't know what this means, but maybe it'll mean something one day. I knew in my head that like I was gonna start like YouTube and stuff like this eventually. I just didn't feel like I had the tools to do it yet, but it was definitely in the air, and it was predicted by that first psychic that I knew. So like by this time I'm like, yo, they might be onto something, and this isn't a scary experience. It's actually a pretty cool experience. But I didn't go again for like another 3 years. Cut to the next time that I went to a psychic. It was like my first or second job out of college. I was in a job but not really a career. Wasn't really happy, and so I was at like a real like stark crossroads. So I was like, who's gonna provide clarity? Where can I go to get clarity from this? And I was like, oh, do you remember that one time you went to a psychic? Maybe she could open this shit up for you. So I decided to Google, because I'm not about to go, you know, to any sham that's like, oh, psychic readings, $20, like, and somebody just says, do you have a mom? Yeah, your mom. Like, I don't want any of that like phony shit. So I Googled like, yo, renowned psychics in my area. I found a lady that had been proven, and so I decided to set up an appointment with her. So I remember I go and I make an appointment with her, and the minute she opens the door, she does the thing too. She goes, woof. And I'm like, what is with these, like this other lady did that too. Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, I'm big, I'm black, like what am I doing to you? And she was like, this just creative energy just like blasted me in the face. Before she even talked to me, like knew who I was, and then she was like, are you writing screenplays? And I was like, screenplays? And I've never been a screenplay writer in my life. Like, I've never written a screenplay in my life, not a TV show. If anything, I've written like, I don't even like short stories. If anything, I just write like poetry and stuff like that if I were to write. And I was like, no. And she was like, oh, you will be. And I was like, yo, like you're freaking me out. Like, stop. From that first reading with her, I pulled the tower again because she knew that major changes were gonna have to be done in order for me to be exactly where I'm supposed to be as far as like career-wise. You know what I mean? The card came through the cards. Like, I pulled the tower again, so she pretty much told me that like major changes are in store. They're gonna hurt a little bit, but they're necessary. A lot of the things that she's predicted haven't really come true yet, and I've seen her probably about like 4 or 5 times now. I don't want to talk about anything that hasn't come true because I'm not about to jinx my shit, like not for no damn YouTube, but I will tell you the things that she has predicted. She's predicted relationships, me getting into them and falling out of them, and why. She's predicted 2 of my friends moving, 1 of my friends moving twice. She's predicted 1 of my friends having a baby, so I knew 1 of my friends would have a baby before he even knew that he was gonna have a baby. She's predicted me losing and getting jobs. She's been able to tell me when to get away from toxic people. Lo and behold, what ended up being the whole screenplay writing thing is YouTube. That literally ended up being it. And the way it just kind of like weirdly fell into being a thing, I didn't understand what she meant by screenplay, but that's kind of like what she intuitively felt was on the rise as to what was gonna happen. Because in a way, you know, when I'm sitting and I'm show prepping and I'm deciding what I'm gonna talk about, that's designing a show. It's a screenplay writing, and that's exactly what it is. So that's kind of creepy. That definitely did come true. I would say, like, if you're scared of going to a psychic, you shouldn't be scared of going to a psychic. You should just make sure that you're going to a good one and make sure that you're not going to someone who's a phony. If you're going to a real psychic, you're not gonna have any issues. The 2 psychics that I've been to have been the real deal, and that's why I don't have any issues. And that's kind of what turned a skeptic into a believer when it comes to psychic abilities and when it comes to tarot cards and when it comes to things like that. All it takes is for you to experience someone who really knows what they're doing, and you're hooked. I would say if you're scared of tarot cards, you just need to know that each card has a meaning, and each card is set up for what like what the possible future is going to be. I don't know if any future is set in stone, but it gives you a set of possibilities given the choices that you're making. And so it's just a way for you to take the energy that you have in your body and give it to the powers that be, and for them to translate the message to you. So that's the way it comes through in the cards. It's just that if you don't know how to read the cards, you might want to have a psychic there with you who can help you both actually read the card and intuitively read what the card is bringing through. But realistically, all of the stuff that comes through the cards, it's not the psychic that's doing it to you, it's you that's bringing it to the psychic that they can give it back to you. So it's really all you at the end of the day. Did I have a Beyonce moment where I flipped over death 19,000 times and eventually it was like, you're gonna die, ooh? No. Have I pulled the death card? I don't think I've pulled the death card, but the death card doesn't actually mean that you're gonna die. It just means that there's an ending coming up, which means after death comes life. So an ending of something is always the start of something new. So if you're going through a rough time and you pull the death card, it doesn't mean that the tough time's gonna take you out. It actually means that your suffering could be ending, and upon the new will be the new beginning you've been waiting for. At the end of the day, the tarot and all that other stuff are just ways for you to take the cues from the universe as to what you can do to learn the lesson you're supposed to learn while you're here in this life doing this earth shit. And if you're still skeptical about psychics, I mean, think about history. Psychics have been a part of history, and they're part of every piece of literature, every piece of religion. In every religion throughout history, they've always followed. And if certain things follow, they don't follow because people keep making shit up. They follow because they exist. And there are people that can tune into the other side of what's going on there to help us figure out what the fuck is going on in here. So those are my experiences with psychics. I don't hate psychics. I'm not really scared anymore. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If not, suck a dick, and I'll be seeing you guys later. Deuce. Blue is sitting there holding her nose. Like, this food stinks, it's not organic, the people are broke, this air is just polluted. Like, she's not used to the life we live.